This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Canna Health.
Hey cannabis consumers, have you ever consumed a cannabis product thinking it'll make you feel a certain way, but then it doesn't? Don't you wish you had a clear understanding of your own DNA so that you could make informed decisions about what type of cannabis products interact best with your system? Well, now you can with EndoDNA. EndoDNA is a simple DNA test that maps your entire endocannabinoid system and then matches that summary with a specific cannabinoid ratio and terpene profile that best aligns with your unique genotype. Imagine being armed with personal information when visiting a dispensary. You'll have the knowledge and power and capability to purchase products that best align with your genotype. Visit their website to purchase the EndoDNA Collection Kit and Endo Decoded Report at endodna.com/products and use the promo code CONNECT15 for a 20% discount. Again, that's endodna.com/products and use the promo code CONNECT15 for a 20% discount. The future of cannabinoid therapeutics is here with EndoDNA. Hey Craig, how you doing?
Good, Kevin. How are you doing?
I am doing well, thank you, sir.
Good to see you.
It's good to see you. What's interesting, before we started recording is we talked about how your wife, Dr. Janelle Kim, has made an appearance on Cannabinoid Connect in the past. And one thing I didn't mention, which is crazy, Craig, about how the universe works is that I looked, as I was doing research in preparation for this podcast, and I rewatched the episode with Dr. Janelle Kim, and the date I published that episode was on February 8th, 2021, and today is February 8th, 2022. So
Wow.
it's exactly a year to the day. I'm not saying that like to the day of when we recorded, because that was before, but
right.
The day I published is it 1 year ago exactly today. So that's pretty wild,
cool,
man.
Yeah, I like it.
It's weird how that's kind of stuff works out. But anyway, I thought I'd call that out and shout out to Dr. Janelle Kim. But also what we talked about before we started recording was kind of the different challenges and different things and issues that come up as a business owner, right? That you just wouldn't think about. Obviously, the pandemic was one that really caught everyone off guard. And we saw that the cannabis and hemp industries really prevailed through those challenges and overcame a lot of that, being deemed an essential business. But I mentioned that we experienced a snow kind of sleet storm here in Dallas, Texas last week, and there was really bad ice on the roads. And you mentioned, being the president of JBK Wellness Labs, y'all had like some products that you were shipping out here or you were delivering, and there was some issues with that.
Yeah, we had a truck, and we've been doing this for almost 2 decades at this point, and I've never had an issue where we encountered this. But a truck, we had loaded on some pallets with some products of our customer of ours to go to a big warehouse distribution facility in Dallas, and the truck was driving there. The truck's making deliveries along the way, not our truck, but a transport company, and they got a call from the distribution facility that said, the weather is coming, we're closing down early, and so if you're going to make it, you got to get here in the next 2 hours or whatever. And so he starts hauling down there, gets there after they closed, and the ice storm came. And what do you do then? Because there's no place to drop it off. There's no warehouse where you can store it. And so the truck parked in a parking lot of a truck stop and camped there for 4 days, basically. And I wasn't sure what was going to happen, if at some point he would just hightail out of there, or what that would look like. But I guess that's what happens, and I guess we all just adapt as we need to.
That's right. Yeah, we adapt and overcome. And I will tell you, from the short duration that I was in town, the ice on the roads was really bad. So for those listening from the East Coast that are like, oh my gosh, it's Dallas and they can't handle, a little bit of snow, it was really bad. So I'm glad that it all worked out. You're right. We got to overcome and adapt. And I mean, it seems like that's really kind of integral in your role as president of JBK Wellness Labs. So, tell us a little bit about your background, Craig, and really what led you to this point in being focused on products that deal with nutraceuticals and blending that Western and Eastern medicinal practices for therapeutic value.
Yeah. So Dr. Janelle Kim, my wife, Janelle and I, we started JBK in 2012. But our background is quite a bit more extensive than that, because we've always been manufacturing just with some house brands through the early 2000s, mid 2000s. And what we really saw was a place for these formulas. Janelle in her lineage has these formulas that have been handed down for generations, literally for centuries, through her family. These are formulas. She is also, I should note, a doctor of Chinese medicine. These formulas stem from Korea. She's half Korean, half American, and so these formulas basically have been handed down the way they are, very synergistically blended, not just saying, oh, we've got these herbs, let's throw them into a formula, but the precise dosages, the preparation methods of these herbs to get the qualities that you want, and the balancing of other properties of the other herbs in the formula. And they've been passed down this way because they work for health, and also through health, beauty. So we have an extensive background in nutritional manufacturing, obviously formulation with her primarily on that side, as well as the cosmetic and topical side. And so that's kind of been our background, and we really saw a need for or a desire for more natural formulas, but not just natural formulas. And at the time, you'd say natural, and people would kind of tend to say, oh, well, maybe that means less effective, but more natural. But for us, we really wanted to show that you can have truly natural products, but incredibly potent effects from those products, just by having plants that come from the earth that are not necessarily synthesized down to the most finite compound. And that's how, as she will talk about more than I can, you can balance the side effects of certain compounds, right? Because you have the whole entourage of that plant and the compounds that are contained in there when we do an extraction. But we saw that the market was looking for it. We really, I think, started even ahead of our time. People weren't necessarily ready for it, but they started to gravitate to them once people started hearing about the benefits they were having through these formulas that we were putting out. And so we had taken some of our brands to big national grocers, Whole Foods Market, then some regional ones, Mother's Market, et cetera. But we really had a strong foothold in the spa and resort industry. So Four Seasons, Ritz-Carlton, Mandarin Oriental, some of those places. But what we really started to notice was that brands were seeing what we were doing with these formulas, and they started coming to us and saying, look, we love what you're doing with these products. We're hearing great things about them. Can you incorporate some of these herbal formulas into our products? And so, we had a discussion about that. And for Janelle, really being kind of the living legacy of these formulas, and everybody who came before her that passed these formulas down, her biggest wish, her greatest wish, is to get them to as many people as possible. And so we could see that by incorporating these formulas, getting them to more brands, and then we could see the proliferation of this. And so now we around 2012 is when we kind of shifted solely to manufacturing as a contract manufacturer for other brands. So it's a little bit of our history.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. There's a lot to unpack there. And, one thing that I think about is when you talk about Dr. Janelle Kim and how these formulas and the different synergies and I guess, natural ingredients that are included within them, that was passed down, right? And so how are y'all sourcing these various ingredients? Like, I'm looking on your website here, and I'll share my screen so that those can see it. But like, and let me move this. Can you see that, Craig?
I can see it. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So we've got like angelica root, ginseng
Mm-hmm,
root,
mm-hmm.
licorice root, astragalus root. Am I saying that right?
Astragalus. Yeah.
Astragalus root. So, I mean, I know that she's really the expert around these areas, but maybe at a high level, you could talk about just kind of I guess, the benefits and the efficacy for each at a high level, and then talk about your sourcing process. So, like, how do you go about, getting these ingredients to then produce the formulated products?
Yep. So it really depends, and it's really formula specific. And so to source for certain formulations, there's no I guess there's no the bar is up here, and so we've made numerous trips back and forth overseas, to look at different farms, different
In
vendors.
China?
No, not in China, in Korea.
Oh, okay. In Korea.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, in Korea. And so we have different sources for different formulas as we need to find them for some of our higher, I guess, echelon formulas where we can't compromise even the slightest. We have very specific sources. There's when you start getting into this world, you'll find that comparing and that Janelle will use this example a lot, comparing a ginseng in this hand and in this hand to kind of an untrained eye, they might look very similar, but a trained eye will see that one is a lot more potent than another because of the shape. You can tell the type of soil it was grown in, the type of topography it was grown in, and that makes a big difference when sourcing herbs, especially for some of these powerful formulas. And so we have obviously connections that we have sourced, but also historical sources as well that we source. And then for if it's not if it's a formula that doesn't depend so much on every herb being the top of the top from a special mountain in Korea, we have great sources for all of those things. But when we do have special formulas, we have very established sources for those.
And you talk about that shift into the contract manufacturing space where JBK is producing custom formulations. So tell us a little bit about that shift and what that process has been like, and what the benefits are of going with JBK for contract manufacturing as opposed to traditional white label.
Oh, that's a great question. Being able to work with brands who really want to do something special with their products is it gives you a lot of joy in the process, because at different times the process can be quite challenging. Every project has a number of variables that belong to that project only, and so trying to find repetition is sometimes a challenge. But when we can align with the vision of the brand owners and what they're trying to do with their formulas and really get behind those projects, it really becomes a fun process, as well as being a challenging one. And what was the second part of that question?
Well, I mean, just how the contract manufacturing with JBK differs than your traditional white label.
So we like to consider ourselves a collaborative manufacturer, if I can coin that term right now on your show, collaborative manufacturing. we really like to partner. There are, numerous contract manufacturers where you can just say, oh, I like that. I like this product that's on the shelf from another brand, just copy it. That's what I want, and just run it. And, there are places that can take it in and spit it out. But when you're really looking for a partner and somebody that you can call on, everybody that works with us can get a hold of me if they need to, even though we have different account managers. We figure out ways together, and we understand what happens sometimes when sales are of product are flying off the shelf, and it's like, oh shoot, we know the lead time is normally 8 to 12 weeks, but look, we're going to be out of stock in 6 weeks. Like, what can you do for us? Those aren't things that we like to look at as the rule, but we do make exceptions to the rule because we understand, we've been in that position before on the brand side. So we understand when a store is saying, hey, look, we need more product. What are you going to do? Not having product to sell is really a detriment to a lot of brands. It gives the consumers other places to look, et cetera, in the meantime. And so we really like to partner with the brands. In addition to that, obviously, when we talk about formulation, and we touched on the herbal formulas that we have, what we're doing with herbs and herbal formulas are not just to say we have some botanical formulas. There's botanicals in here, they soothe your skin. They're truly healing formulas. And so we have the ability to do that, and we have the ability also in this collaborative manufacturing process to kind of work with who we want to, and we choose partners that we really see going somewhere, have a vision, and kind of share this idea of health and wellness really at the core. And so with these formulas, first and foremost, we're the only ones in the world that have them. They can't be duplicated. The process is quite stringent. The methods by which the formulas are put together are very unique. And so, from that perspective, I think we stand alone. And it's not our goal to ever be in a position where somebody is telling us, oh, well, I can get it for a penny cheaper per unit at this factory down the road, because we'll say, go for it. And I would say almost 9 times out of 10, they come back to us and say, oh, we should have worked together, or let's start working together, because the care is a big part of the process, because there are so many variables and so many unknowns until you actually get into it and you've been through it numerous times. Can you kind of foresee what things might happen? And so if things are happening, that I still find new instances, like the truck getting caught on the side of the road that we talked about earlier, that was new. In 20 years, we've never had that instance happen. And you say, what happens? But we figure it out. But that's just one, I'm still encountering new things, but there's so many variables for brand owners that they're not aware of.
Yeah, it's almost like you're reading my mind. That's a perfect segue, because that's where I was going to go to next. And, with the collaborative manufacturing process, like you put it, and, being a company that has formulated products that no one else has in the world, like you said, I mean, I would imagine that comes with challenges and hurdles when formulating these natural ingredients. So, I mean, you talked about the example of, like, in some cases, there's a particular herb in, Korea, or on top of a mountain in Korea, where, you're having to get that. So tell me a little about those challenges and those stories that come along with this, this role of providing formulated products, like with herbs and natural ingredients.
Well, there's so many. There are days when you wonder, like, why did I get into manufacturing? Because there's so many things, and again, it just comes back to, it's part of the process, and we work through them. But one of the big ones now that not just us, but everybody's kind of going through, is supply chain issues. And what do you do? Because maybe a standard bottle that you used to be able to find 200,000 on a shelf in a warehouse in Irvine, could be shipped to you within 3 to 4 days. That used to be the case. Now, sometimes there's backlogs that are 4, 5, 6 months. And so what do? Do you just say, oh, well, we'll wait and we'll figure it out? Or do you find solutions? You always have to find the solution, right? If you want to chase the business, the project, the vision, whatever it is, you gotta find it. But when on the manufacturing side, look, I mean, timelines are very challenging, and usually one of the biggest things that people want to know is, okay, I've got my deposit in, when's my project going to be done? And everybody's looking for a day, and you want to say, well, we can kind of tell you it's this day, but there's so many variables, as we mentioned, and it could be equipment. Equipment works really well until it decides not to. And you have, like any other business, there maybe are staffing challenges. That's another one that people have been dealing with for the last couple of years as well, right? COVID protocols and just not being able to find people to be employed. All these things are just, I think, normal things that people deal with in business. But I mean, I could go on, and I don't want to drone on with my problems because they're problems, but they're really not problems. They're just the way things are. And so manufacturing, just don't try it yourself.
Right. Well, with stress and problems comes wellness products, right? To help ease anxiety and other ailments that certain individuals may have. Wellness is in y'all's brand name. So tell me a little bit about some of the customer success stories, some of the patient success stories of people are using your skincare products or your other formulated products where they're really seeing efficacy and value.
Yeah, well, it's an interesting thing, and that's a big part of why I do what I do and why I wake up every day, is because over the years, the testimonials that we hear from people about the formulas that we're preparing and what they're doing for people, it gives you gas in the tank, to wake up and come to work and get with your team. These formulas, if I had not experienced some of the benefits for myself, certainly I might be doing something else. But
what are those benefits? I'm just curious.
Well, we have among the products that we manufacture, we make muscle and joint type products. We make skin-based products. We make nutritional products. And I'll give you an example. There's a lot that we have to be careful of just because of the way, the regulatory framework is and what we can say and what we can't say. I will say that I've seen some amazing things with skin patches on the face that had to be, were expected to be removed or were instructed to be by a doctor to be removed on not just one, but multiple people. We created formulas for those. Go back to the doctor, and the doctor says, I've never seen it before, but whatever it is, just keep doing it. And they haven't had to go the way of the knife. I just had somebody who gave me a testimonial verbally last week, but we have a certain roll-on muscle and joint type of product that we manufacture, and it's actually part of one of our new divisions called JBK Wholesale, which we can talk about as well. But she's had a situation for years, going on decades, with and she didn't know for a long time it's related to a slip disc in her back. But what is the result of that slip disc is she has kind of tingling kind of nerve pain through her arms to the point where the scratching basically is kind of opening the skin. And it's a condition that I guess is quite a bit more common than I knew about, because I had never heard about this before. But she used that roll-on, and she said almost immediately it eased the sensation that she was feeling. And so, we sometimes claim or mention that when people start using the products, they become addicted, and that's a great thing for the market, the marketability of them. But it's because at the core of all of these products and that we're manufacturing are these herbal formulas. And what's special is that even before they look good and they smell good and they feel good, they're very effective, right? These brown kind of herbal earthen smelling formulas that you wouldn't want to put in a pretty package, because that's just not what people are used to. But when we do make them beautiful, nice smelling, there's still at that core a huge percentage of that formula that is some of those medicinal extracts. And so I could talk a lot about some of these things. A man who had a rash on his legs, kind of real itchy, flaky skin for years, had nothing could help him. He got some cortisone, different creams from the doctor, no respite from it, painful and itchy. We have a formula that is a soak, a very traditional. And when I say soak, it's like a liquid. And this is one of the more traditional looking formulas, a brown liquid. You add it to your bathtub and it disperses. And from the first time he tried it, he stepped in and he felt tingling go up his leg, and he started to see improvement. And over a number of more times, he used this formula that finally cleared up after years of dealing with this issue that nothing else could solve. And so I've seen these things. I see the difference that it makes in people's lives. And when somebody's going through something like that, you really see what it means to them when they start to tell you. It's not just, oh, by the way, this did this. It's like, this formula changed my life. I sit here, as the president of JBK. I oversee the team, but with Janelle, the people come out of the woodwork to let her know what these formulas have done for them. She's spoken all over the world. We've traveled through Europe and Asia, and there's always, if there's a crowd of people who are listening to her, there's always a number that can't wait to talk to her after she's spoken, just to come up and let her know what the formulas have done for them. And so it's really an amazing thing to see. And it's really done through these natural formulas that have been passed down for centuries.
Yeah. I mean, that has been echoed on this podcast so much. And I've actually experienced it myself, where, there was at one point we put up an online store with one of the websites that I own. And we were just, drop shipping hemp products, high quality hemp products from partners. We made sure that we worked with some of the best out there. And some of the customers and patients, I would say, that purchased these products were just like, it's like they discovered fire. It was incredible to see. And in so many ways, they're thanking me and my team. And I'm like, we didn't make these products. We didn't cultivate. I had to like distinguish and make sure that I was giving credit to where credit was due. But you're right in the sense that in so many cases there are these, night and day effects, right, that really are life-changing for people and enhance and improve their daily lives. And that's a beautiful thing. And I hate to call it out, but you mentioned the word addictive earlier. I would use a different word than that. I mean, I get what you're saying, because they're coming back, but they're coming back because it works, right? Like that word can be kind of termed as physically addicted or whatever, but that's why they come back, because they're getting relief, and it's a beautiful thing, man. So
that's a great term, because one of the exact things that we say is, why have these formulas been handed down for so long the way they have? It's because they work. I mean, there's no other reason other than people get benefits from them, and they want to keep those, they want to keep seeing those benefits. And then it becomes their loved ones want to see those benefits. And if they didn't work, then they wouldn't be here, but they do.
Right. What has the learning curve been like? I mean, you've been in business for, you said, over 10 years, right?
As JBK, yeah, but about almost 20
Almost 20.
in the industry and manufacturing.
Yeah, and I mean, at the beginning, you said y'all started off like really ahead of your time, right? And I would imagine even still, you're pretty ahead. I mean, this is kind of catching up now in terms of the understanding around alternative, more natural therapeutic medicine, right? So, what has that learning curve and that process been on the education standpoint?
Well, for me, for me, my learning curve, I'm still learning. Again, Janelle and her knowledge of herbs, started when she was a child. She talks about rummaging through the herb chest as a kid, and really, learning about things before she even realized that she was learning. It just was part of the way that she was brought up, and her mentor, her father, basically teaching her from a very young age, and then obviously through formal schooling. And so I can't say that I'm an expert by any means on herbal formulation. I'm still learning. I'm always learning as I experience the products, as other people experience them, and then also listening to Janelle speak about them. On the manufacturing side, I can tell you that I'm still learning, but I'm at a place where I feel like I've gone through the hard part some time ago. Variability of projects. I think in anything that you start and you're going to commit yourself to, there's going to be a pretty steep learning curve if you're going to push yourself. And so, now I can say, while I'm not an expert in herbs, I am an expert in manufacturing. I've done quite a bit of it. And so, yeah, that's my answer.
No, that's good. That's a good answer. And speaking of, with your hyper focus now as the president, and the hyper focus on manufacturing, what are your goals for JBK Wellness Labs this year and beyond? What are you guys focused on?
One of our biggest goals right now is seeing through kind of the initial launch period of a new division that we have. It's called JBK Wholesale, and we really saw. Okay, so I'll kind of give you a little bit of background on what we've been as a manufacturer, and we've been kind of traditionally working on the manufacturing side with brands that are doing full custom formulation. So you come to us with an idea, or you're an existing brand, you're expanding your line, but you're looking to do something new. We get together, we collaborate, we determine, okay, here's the best way to go for the product, and we start to formulate. We go through the formulation, testing, all of these things that take months and months and months, and then go to manufacturing, where the minimum quantities are 5,000 to 10,000 units per item. So the barrier to entry is quite high. Through the pandemic, we saw a lot of small businesses kind of, if they didn't shutter, go through a really challenging time. Spas, independent day spas, salons, other wellness type of offices, and there's so many of them across the country. And small businesses, even though we're a larger endeavor than a typical small business, we're still a small business. And I really think that there is a market that is underserved, which is particularly smaller businesses. And so we've launched JBK Wholesale really to target them. The MOQs are nowhere near our 5 to 10,000 on custom manufacturing. They can be as low as 12 units. And what we're doing is we have stock formulations, basically a curated line that we have determined will fit really well into these locations, both for their marketability, but also their efficacy. Some of our favorite formulas. What do we use? And so we've got these formulas in bulk already. We also have them already bottled in bottles ready to go. All they need is a label. And so these small businesses now, let's say, Jane's Salon down the street, we talk to them and we say, look, we can provide you with your own brand of product. Try these formulas, and if they like the samples and they say, oh, this is great, I can have my own brand. I don't necessarily need to rely on a third-party brand to come in. First of all, they get their own brand product with their own logo on it, which is really important to continue branding their location. Secondly, retail has always been a strong component for these small businesses, and obviously with the rise of Amazon and e-commerce, especially in the last 5 years, kind of just like going hockey stick, that eats away at that section of their revenue. And so somebody can come in and buy it the first time, but then they run out of product, and the consumer says, okay, well, I'll just go on Amazon and grab it, or I'll go to Sephora.com, for example. What we're doing is we're helping them build their own brand that can only be found at their location. And if it's on Amazon, it's because they put it there. And so everything leads back home for them. Also, the products that we're able to sell to them are going to have higher margins for them. And so we really are focused on making that division grow. And if that division grows, it means a lot of small businesses are growing their revenue as well, and it becomes a win-win. So we're really excited about that in 2022.
Yeah. Now that sounds like exciting expansion plans for the JBK Wellness Labs brand overall, and how you're expanding into the wholesale market and side of things. So Craig, really appreciate your time today, man. It's been a pleasure talking with you. I do want to give you the floor before we wrap up, and anything that's top of mind, or if you want to share your website and social media channels for people to learn more.
No, I just, I think if I could say something, it's just that, the past couple of years have been, challenging for a lot of consumer brands. We've seen, people that we work with, unfortunately, have their growth stunted just because of closures and the outlets where they sell their products being shut down. We're seeing that starting to turn around. A lot of brands, a lot of spa owners, salon owners, for example, they've been through a lot. They've persevered, and I think there's a lot to hope for, a lot to be looking forward to in the year ahead. And so we're really excited to be a part of that. And if I can, just kind of let people know, you can find us. We've got 2 websites. We've got jbkwellnesslabs.com. We also have jbkwholesale.com. And then you can always find us and find me on LinkedIn. My handle is Craig, CRAIG .Nandoo, NANDOO. And, I'm really looking to do some new things this year, especially with social media, and really help educate people on what the contract manufacturing process looks like. And so if anybody has questions, you're looking to start a brand, you don't know where to turn, you don't know where to start, reach out to me. I would love to just be of help to anybody I possibly can be.
That's great. Craig, really appreciate it again, man. We'll be sure to drop all those links in the description box for YouTube. Those listening or watching, feel free to please subscribe, and really appreciate it. Let's do it again in the near future, man.
Kevin, you're the man. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. And thank you all for listening. Bye.